It's all right.
That's love, Hadass.
But you don't make me tremble. You make me peaceful.
Well, yes, that's the friendship I was telling you about. You see, in the Talmud, a wife...
So will you teach me?
Teach you?
Please?
Talmud?
Talmud?
Talmud!
Not the Talmud.
Talmud, why not? Why not, Hadass? That's the least the husband can do for his wife. The most, maybe even.
I could never learn Talmud.
That's nonsense. If I can do it, you can do it. Lock the door.
But isn't it a sin? I thought women were forbidden.
It's not a sin.
Then why are you closing the curtains and me locking the door?
Why? Because I trust God will understand. I'm not so sure about the neighbors. Come, sit. What's funny?
You. I've never seen you so excited.
Now, pay attention, Hadass. First there's the Bible, the 5 books of Moses, which God handed down on Mount Sinai.
Wait a minute, I'll be
Where
right
are you going?
Until I have the soup on the stove, then I have to
Let
glaze
your mother do it, please. The Talmud, on the other hand, is a series of commentaries interpreting the... What are you doing?
I was just pulling a thread.
Well, don't. We're studying.
Yes.
Now where was I?
A series of commentaries interpreting the Bible.
Yes. The first of these commentaries is called the Mishnah, our code of law.
Glad your headache's better.
What is so incredible, Hadass, is that it's a masterpiece of literature, folklore, and philosophy. It deals with astronomy, architecture, medicine, everything from making love to planting Egyptian beans.
Making love?
To planting Egyptian beans.
Oh, I thought you said something.
Then there's the Midrash, legends, stories, dealing with legal issues. For example, 2 men are disputing the ownership of a mule or a flock of chickens. Let's say a flock of chickens.
Anshul, while your books argue about chickens, I've had to pluck them. It's Friday. I've been up since dawn. I'm too tired to be a scholar on Fridays, Anshul. I'm sorry.
I'm the one who's sorry, Hadass.
I'm too tired for the special Sabbath blessing. Even if maybe you were going to demand it. Maybe.
Next Tuesday, 8 o'clock.
What about her parents?
What about...
He's 1 second late.
Oh, yes. Oh, this is one I was telling you about, the one I brought from home. The first part's about the ancient mystics. It's all a bit elementary, but...
Welcome, Mother Dawn. Tell me more.
The world has a creepy obsession with us Jews. Like a real stalker obsession. Can you guys just like leave us alone? Can you just live your lives and just leave us alone? It's not even just about Israel. It's not even not liking Israel. It's Jews being hunted down in Russia yesterday, like a 2023 pogrom. Jewish students being harassed and bullied on college campuses all over America. Can you just stop stalking us? Why are you so obsessed with us? Leave us alone, my God, what is it? You spend all your time on Jews. Enough. Live your lives. Find something else to take up your time. Find a hobby. God.
That 15 minutes away from our house, there were people, monsters, spraying bullets at civilians, killing Jews left and right. Those were their last moments. 15-minute drive away from us. Be'eri, kibbutzim, these communities, they are cucumber growers. Farmers were being slaughtered in their beds. It's very hard to reckon with evil. No one wants to touch it. It smells bad. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. What I saw in southern Israel was evil. It was evil, and it has traumatized me. And I'm angry that my people were slaughtered again. We went to southern Israel. We saw children's beds soaked with blood. We went to a house in southern Israel where a family of 7 was slaughtered in the room we were standing in. Nobody likes to reckon with evil. The reason I wanted to speak tonight is because the Jewish community and the Black community are soulful people. We love God. We who love God, we want peace and love. But King David said, Ohavei Hashem sinu ra. Those who love God hate evil. I didn't just see evil in Be'eri, Kibbutz Be'eri. I didn't just see carnage and death and murder. I saw a desecration of God. I swear to you, I saw a desecration of God's name, of God's presence in the world. Our people were slaughtered. If you want to stand with the Jewish people, you stand against evil. Yes, we want peace. Yes, we want love. Ohavei Hashem sinu ra. Those who love God hate evil. There is no way around it. Hamas took our babies and they never gave them back. And I saw those babies' car seats. I saw babies' clothing scattered on the streets of southern Israel. You can't breathe in southern Israel. The stench of death is so strong you cannot breathe. I was gagging for hours. I just want you to know what happened to my people. It cannot happen again. We said never again. It cannot happen again. Those who love God hate evil. Amen to peace. Amen to love and peace. There is no love and peace without a hatred of evil. Never again, never again, never again.
Angelina Jolie just accused Israel of war crimes because Israel just carried out a massive airstrike on the Gazan refugee camp called Jabalia. Fun fact, Ilhan Omar said the exact same thing. First of all, Miss Jolie, Jabalia was a refugee camp. In 1948, they have not let in one refugee in 70 years. Jabalia is now a massive Hamas stronghold. Let's read Wikipedia together. The first Intifada, where over 200 Israelis were murdered, in December 1987 began in Jabalia. The camp has been the scene of much violence in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It is also considered a major stronghold of the Hamas movement. Let's look at the picture that you shared on social media. You see those 2 craters? Everyone is calling them sinkholes. Those are not sinkholes. Those are Hamas terror tunnels because Hamas operates out of Jabalia. Also, Angelina, Gazan civilians were given 23 days to leave the area. The IDF told them in Arabic where to go, when, and how. But Hamas won't let them leave because they need innocent Palestinians to die to gain the favor of the world. Look at these headlines. Hamas preventing Gaza residents from fleeing to safety. Hamas said themselves they need the blood of Palestinians.
The blood of the women, children, and elderly. We are the ones who need this blood. We need this blood. So it awakens within us the revolutionary spirit.
Last but not least, laughably, comically, you said that the Gazan civilians have nowhere to go. Okay, let's look at the map. There are several massive Muslim countries all around Israel that could take in the Gazan civilians while Israel takes care of the Hamas terrorist problem. There's Egypt, there's Lebanon, there's Jordan, there's Syria, there's Iraq, there's Saudi Arabia, there's Turkey. They don't care about Palestinian civilians, so they don't want them. I'm sure that you agree that Hamas is a terrorist organization. Why are you not pressing Muslim countries around Israel to take in the Gazan civilians? You are an actress, not a Middle East expert. If you don't know the facts, don't share false information with millions of people. Thank you. Guys, we finally cracked the code. We finally know one of the reasons why the New York Times is so anti-Semitic, so anti-Israel. The worst, most prejudiced, partial, biased coverage of Israel ever. They have no shame anymore. It's this woman right here. It turns out that one of the main journalists who's doing most of the reporting and coverage on the war in Israel is this young woman who's a Palestinian journalist from Nazareth named Hiba Yazbek. She is a former intern of Rashida Tlaib, who is a Hamas terrorist sympathizer, Jew-hating anti-Semite to her core. The cover photo for her Twitter is a picture of her and AOC, another Jew-hating, Hamas terrorist sympathizing, Israel-hating anti-Semite to her core. Hiba's Twitter is filled to the brim with anti-Israel posts and information. And that obviously undermines her ability to report on Israel objectively and impartially. The New York Times disgraces real journalism by hiring someone with such a clear agenda and who uses her platform to hate on Israel.
This is our last chance to help save thousands of Holocaust survivors who are suffering in the former Soviet Union today. The needs that these forgotten Jews have are something beyond anything you can imagine. Just feed the hungry. If you hear God's voice, I'm asking you to act now. Do it when it's on your heart. I pray that they'll know in their final months that they're not alone.
This is a special alert.
Israel is under attack, and Israel's enemies seek our destruction. The people of Israel need immediate help.
Rockets have us squarely in the crosshairs. Our people are targets in their own homes. Many have lost everything and fear for their lives.
The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews has launched an urgent response to rescue those affected by this violent attack.
Our teams are on the ground across Israel delivering life-saving aid. Your urgently needed gift of only $45 will help rush food, water, medicine, and emergency supplies for Jewish families that have nowhere to turn.
Time is literally running out. What we need you to do is to act now.
Israel is under attack.
Israel has been attacked like never before. Our skies are filled with rockets and drones. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews urgently needs your help to send out emergency teams across the Holy Land.
The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews needs your $45 gift to rush emergency aid to the people of Israel who are still devastated from the massacres of October 7th.
We are bringing food. We are bringing emergency resources to save lives, but we can't do it alone. We need you to stand with Israel now.
With terrorist attacks across every part of Israel, tens of thousands of families desperately need emergency life-saving aid today.
Please don't wait. Now is the time to act.
אני עדיין חושב על אותה התקופה, ימים עושה שיפוצים למקומות שכואבת, לא מצאתי תרופה. איך את רחוקה ואני שנים פוחץ בלי מטרה, ואת חוזרת פתאום כמו סופה ומדליקה לי הכל. ואני מוצא את עצמי עד אוהב אותך, ואני מוצא את עצמי עד אוהב אותך, והזמן כאן עובר מהר כל כך, אני עדיין שיכור מהחיוך על הפנים שלך. בא אליי שוב, עושה סימנים על הגוף, אומרת שבא לך למחוק הכל, לשבת בשמש עולם גדול, לזרוק את עצמך על החול. נהיה לך צפוף, זמן לעשות איזה מוב, לברוח מכל השטויות שפה, הלב והראש רק הולכים מקום. לילות הכל מסתובב, אני עדיין חושב על אותה התקופה, ימים עושה שיפוצים למקומות שכואבת, לא מצאתי תרופה. איך את רחוקה ואני שנים פוחץ בלי מטרה, ואת חוזרת פתאום כמו סופה ומדליקה לי הכל. איך את רחוקה ואני מוצא את עצמי עוד אוהב אותך, והזמן כאן עובר מהר כל כך, אני עדיין
Girl, we're not like We're not like endangered animals.
Angels have pink hair. I had no idea. Angels have pink hair. I had no idea.
Make a circle, make a circle.
Get him up, let him get up, let him get up, let him get up.
I just stay in my room too long, but I finally got a girlfriend and she's the bomb.
Seems like it was yesterday when I saw your face. You told me how proud you were, but I walked away. If only I knew what I know today. Ooh, ooh. I would hold you in my arms, I would take the pain away. Thank you for all you've done, forgive all your mistakes. There's nothing I wouldn't do to hear your voice again. Sometimes I wanna call you, but I know you won't be there. Oh, I'm sorry for blaming you for everything I just couldn't do. And I've hurt myself by hurting you. Some days I feel broke inside, but I won't admit. Sometimes I just wanna hide, 'cause it's you I miss. And it's so hard to say goodbye when it comes to this. Ooh. Would you tell me I was wrong? Would you help me understand? Are you looking down upon me? Are you proud of who I am? There's nothing I wouldn't do to have just one more chance to look into your eyes and see your love.
We love Uber. Coming up, baseball's good luck charms have taken teams to new heights.
All right, we are coming in hot on this Tuesday afternoon. What better place to start than a good old Red Sox-Yankees rivalry talk? We want to talk about some of the best to ever put on the uniform. So Pedro Martinez, obviously, for the Red Sox, and then for the Yankees, the current guy on the squad, Aaron Judge. If you could have either of them in your prime, who are you going with?
All right, I'm gonna, with all due respect to the Hall of Famer, our colleague here, Pedro Martinez. I thought of it this way. Pedro's signature pitch was that nasty changeup, right? This year, Aaron Judge on off-speed pitches.
Pedro. X, you're gonna weigh in on this? What do you got?
Absolutely. I think this is the one thing Russ is forgetting is that Pedro's going to go up and in with that fastball right about chin high to Aaron Judge to back him off the plate.
Just so nostalgic for me. I think about my childhood watching October baseball. You think Pedro Martinez. So I'm going 3-1 Pedro over Aaron Judge here. But it's time for Off Base to start right now. You're watching Off Base. Taylor McGregor with you, hosting today, trying to step in for LG. No promises on how good it'll be, but these guys will carry the load. We have Russell Dorsey, we have Xander Scruggs on vacation, but still bringing the heat. And then, of course, Ariel Epstein as well. So, from what I've been told, people who come onto the show, make their first appearance, usually go on to do really good things. True?
Mm-hmm. Off base percentage. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. I don't know if you believed it at first.
I didn't. But James Wood, I think that's the one that made, because he wasn't even the big.
The number 2 prospect in baseball right now. The Nats Nation is absolutely loving it. Russ, what did you think of this big moment for the young kid?
It was great, but I think more so for the Washington Nationals, you kind of see what you're building now, right? When they traded Juan Soto, you're like, oh man, you're going to hope to get some kids in return that you expect to potentially be as good as Juan Soto is. But if you're the Nationals, you're starting to see the building blocks of being the team that you expect to be going into the future.
Yeah, that return for Juan Soto was just enormous. I just loved how hard he hit the baseball, because usually it's a good indication of what's to come.
Especially in your first at-bat. Usually you see these guys strike out, ground out first at-bat. Not for Wood. He gets a base hit. Then he's so patient.
I'ma care for you. Make it look like it's magic, oh yeah. 'Cause I see nobody but you. I'm never confused. Hey, I'm so used to being used. So I love when you call unexpected.
In extra innings, walks in the 10th. Congratulations, by the way, to Paul Skeens, because he graduated. He is no longer the number 1 prospect, graduated to the bigs, officially a rookie only this year, which is why James Wood is now the number 2 prospect, not the number 3.
X, what stood out to you about what you saw in Wood's debut?
At-bats matter the most. He was able to take himself a walk, have some plate discipline, showed pitch recognition. All those things remind me of something that's going to be special brewing there in Washington.
I love that you brought up the walk in the bottom of the 10th inning, because I think that's where we have to go to next. It was all fun and games for the rookie, but if you're a Mets fan, you're thinking, what on earth is happening? In the top of the 10th, they scored 6 runs. And then in the bottom of the...
Before he got suspended for getting ejected from that game, but I think for me, when we talk about the Mets, they've gotten themselves back in playoff contention. They've gotten themselves within earshot of saying, you know, we might be buyers at the deadline. And what do we say about all these teams that are expecting to go to the postseason? They need relievers. They need high leverage guys. They need bullpen help. And the Mets are no exception. And so if they're able to continue to play at the level they've been playing at, because they had a fantastic month of June, shout out to Grimace, and help even when Edwin Diaz returns.
And I think for me, you need guys who can come in and strike guys out. If you're going to continue to walk the amount of guys that we've seen this bullpen all season long, I think they have the 4th highest walk rate all season long. You have to be able to have guys who can come in and strike out.
only ones that have had more than that. I feel like I'm out Chicago here.
I'm Ellen Levin live from ABC7. Acclaimed movie director Norman Jewison has died at the age of 97. The Canadian filmmaker directed Moonstruck, Fiddler on the Roof, The Thomas Crown Affair, and In the Heat of the Night. Jewison was a 3-time Oscar nominee and in 1999 received an Academy Award for Lifetime Achievement. According to his publicist, he died peacefully Saturday at his home in Los Angeles. No additional details were given. When news breaks, find it on the ABC7 Los Angeles app. We'll see you today for Eyewitness News at 3.
Amor, no todo es mentiras. When AT&T offers their best deals, they mean it.
We even guarantee our best deal on the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium. No mentiras here.
Lunch? Yes, please. That'll be $23.
Your ad says it's free.
It is for our Economy Ultimate passengers who paid extra.
I'll just have water.
Okay, cash or card. For water?
Well, at AT&T, when we offer you our best iPhone deals, we guarantee it. Even on the new iPhone 15 Pro. Check it out. Made with titanium.
We do have free movies. With the purchase of headphones.
I'll just use my iPhone.
I bought 3 of the same jacket to get the 4th free.
I subscribed to get a deal in these memory supplements, then forgot to cancel.
Yeah, well, you know, recognizing a bad deal is a part of the journey. Yes, Eva, would you like to share your breakthrough?
I got AT&T's best deal on the new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus and got to choose my plan.
Oh. Yes, we don't make you sign up for the top tier plan to get our best deal.
I still haven't gone. I subscribed to get
I know.
On or off the ice in professional sports. So great job by you. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Amelie Benjamin of NHL.com. Amelie Benjamin of NHL.com joins us now on NHL Tonight. Amelie, I know you had a chance to chat in depth with Connor Ingram a couple of weeks ago, and we hear the term OCD a lot, but not everybody knows what that specifically means. What was Connor Ingram suffering from, and what would he go through every day because of it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a term that gets thrown around when people mean that they're excessively neat or very particular about something, but that's really not what it is. And that's really not what Connor Ingram went through. I mean, he had days where one of his obsessions related to contamination. So for him, a big issue was, germs and even thinking that he had sexually transmitted diseases. So he would check himself every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, every 4 minutes to make sure that he wasn't infected. And it's something that really took over his life and culminated in January 25th, 2021, and him entering the NHLPA player assistance program to deal with this, to get help, get therapy. And he has come out the other side. It's not something that ends for anyone. It is something that continues throughout your whole life. He will, as he told me, he will be in therapy. He will sit and tell someone his problems for the rest of his life. But he is so much better, and he is in a place where he can do what you just said, that he can be sort of the surprising star on this surprising team with the Coyotes.
You mentioned how bad it got and how it overtook every day of his life, but there was a point where he almost gave up on it. Take us through that decision and how he did come to the conclusion to enter the NHLPA Players Assistance Program.
Yeah, the team was in Dallas. It was January 2021, and he was part of the taxi squad for the Nashville Predators, which actually was a stroke of incredible luck for him. He was late to the rink in Dallas one day, and that is not something that he has ever done, that he has done before or done since. And he sat down with the goalie coach, the goalie coach there with the Predators, looked at him and said, something's wrong. And Connor said, yeah, we need to talk. And he said, I'm done. I'm done with this. I can't do this. I'm just going to go home. And the goalie coach there said, you know what, there might be another choice. And within an hour, he told me, he was on a plane to California, entering the program, getting inpatient treatment for 40 days. And that really changed his life.
How important has it been in the recovery process to have other players to talk to, like Colin Wilson, who's been candid and public with OCD and his journey through that, and then seeking the help and getting the help from the program?
Absolutely. It is something that I was able to talk to Colin Wilson a couple of weeks ago as well, to sort of put this all in context, what it's like to go through this and how the attitudes around the NHL have changed in relation to mental health and in relation to getting help when you're faced with a situation like that. And it has been tremendous. The two of them are in contact. And Connor Ingram said that he has other guys who have contacted him to talk about this, to talk about going into the program or talking about going through some of this. There have been a few other people who have been public about what they have gone through, Mark Borbieski, for example. So it's not an isolated incident or an isolated example of OCD in the NHL. And it's something that I think it's very clear that the NHL and players are being more, it's more accepted, it's more open. I think they're reaching out and finding help. And then when they come back to their NHL teams, they're respected for their decisions and they're accepted. And that's something that was clear through a number of people that I spoke to about Connor and about other people who have gone through this.
I know the start of Connor's recovery came while he was with the Preds in Nashville. How tough was it? Did he talk about having to leave maybe the security blanket that was Nashville after being claimed by Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, it was, sometimes in these situations it's tough, and sometimes you need a fresh start. I think Arizona, there's no question that they were very excited to have him. They had been tracking him for a while. I was talking to their GM, Bill Armstrong, and he said, we were really hoping that they would waive him. They thought that he might be a difference maker for them, and he has really settled into Arizona. It was interesting when I was doing this story. So many people from the Coyotes organization, players, said to me, you will love talking to him. He is a great guy. He is so good to talk to. And it was interesting. I had talked to people with the Predators, and he had been a little bit closed off there. It was hard to be, full-fledged member of a team when you're hiding something that is really taking over your life. And I think in Arizona, he is able to be himself, who is a gregarious, funny, open guy. And that makes a huge difference.
How's he doing now? I mean, we show the numbers. He's having a great year on the ice, but how's he doing off the ice personally?
It's always day to day. I think there are some things that he is, he tries to do some exposure. He has done lots of exposure therapy, but he tries to see how much he can take. And there are things that he has decided in his life that it's not worth it. We talked about giving high fives to fans, for example, and that's something that he really shies away from. And so any fans in Arizona who don't get a high five from Connor Ingram, they should know that there's a reason. He's not being unfriendly. He doesn't want to skip you. He isn't being a jerk. This is something that he needs to do to protect himself. Foreign hands that he doesn't know where they've been, what contamination they might have, that could ruin his day, could ruin the next day. So he has really taken a day-to-day approach. As I said, he's still in therapy. He's going to continue to be in therapy, and he is doing the things that he needs to keep himself in a good place and expose himself a little bit, but certain things, for him, it's not worth it.
Obviously, talking to you and having us talk about him publicly here is a big step for him and in his recovery. Does he feel comfortable yet being a spokesperson for this situation, OCD, in professional sports or just in life in general? Does he want that role coming forward? Where is he at as far as the public situation going on with his and what he's dealing with?
I don't know that anyone necessarily wants to be a spokesman for this. It's something that is very difficult. But I think what he prizes is being able to let people know that you can succeed, you can, whether you have this, you can get past it or work with it. And I think it's important to him to be open, to be accepting, to make people understand that, everybody's going to have something. And this is his something. But he's working through it, he's getting better. And that for other players, for other teammates or people around the NHL, that the assistance program is somewhere you can turn to. That for him, it has been wonderful. It has been really life-changing, life-saving. And so I think for many people, like we mentioned Colin Wilson, Connor Ingram, I think they have taken it upon themselves to make sure that this is something that is talked about in the NHL and professional sports. It's not something that's swept under the rug or hidden. Not every player is going to feel comfortable enough to tell their story, but they're saying it's okay if this happens to you, whether you are public about it or not. You can get help. You can move past this.
Like great stuff, and we appreciate you sharing his story. And there's so many more details to the story. Like I said, it's on NHL.com right now. It's such a great read, and we appreciate you shining some light on some of the stuff that we don't get to see.
I'm so sorry, Chase. Your father was a wonderful man, and he was a wonderful father. You're proof of that. Every moment I spent in his company was pure joy.
Thank you.
Baby, you okay?
So sorry, Chase.
Where's my grandmother?
She went down to the stables. She was going out for a ride. I'll go down there and see if she's left yet. Okay, Chase, I'll walk you down.
I can't believe he's gone. I mean, I knew it was gonna happen someday, but...
I know, but someday wasn't supposed to be now.
But you know what? Sometimes God has a plan for us, you know, and I guess it would just be nice sometimes to get a little heads up. Yeah. You know, because of you and Chase and that beautiful wedding, Gregory died the happiest man on the planet, right?
Yeah. He was also one of the bravest.
Yeah, he was. The way he officiated your wedding, it was with so much courage and determination.
He had so much strength, you know, and he used so much of it to get through that ceremony. It's like he just didn't have any left. Chase is the one who needs holding. He just wanted a little more time with his dad.
I know. But you know what? You're here to hold Chase now, okay? And let him know that he is not alone.
I have been waiting to do that all night.
I'm so glad. And at the risk of ruining the mood, I'm ready to tell you everything that I've been up to with my grandmother. I don't want to keep anything from you.
No, I'm gonna stop you right there. I actually think it's better if you don't tell me everything.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna trust that you tell me what I need to know, just like I'll trust that you'll come to me if you're in trouble.
Deal. Thank you for bringing my dad home.
Yeah, I was kind of worried that it was the right thing to do, but Leo seemed okay.
Yeah. So how bad was grandmother?
Oh, you know, she took the bulldozer approach.
She always does.
It had to be like 5 saxophones at the same time. All right. All right.
All right, I'm gonna grab the timer.
Whoa. All right, I'm pretty sure I got this right.
What do you mean?
That seems close enough for now.
That was only 3 minutes.
Is that good?
News 1 update. And unrest over the war in Gaza is growing in Israel. The families of those held hostage are calling for the return of their loved ones. A protest was held outside Netanyahu's home on Saturday, and anti-war protesters gathered in the Israeli city of Haifa to protest Israel's offensive.
Therapist Dr. Courtney Tracy joined us to talk us through it. Dr. Tracy, it's so good that you came in to talk about this. It's so important.
I'm so honored to be here. There's nothing more important to speak about right now.
All right, we know and we have learned throughout our lives that stress is real. And stress, whether it's you've lost a job or you have a health issue or...
Absolutely. And the world events have been nonstop. And not really just since 2020, but for probably over the last decade, which is exhausting. When it comes to stress, yes, it affects our mind and it affects our body. And the lack of space and breaks that we've received from the stress that we're experiencing is honestly just multiplying and becoming worse.
Yeah, it is these conflicts in geopolitics, right? We are seeing people lose their lives, but we've also seen a loss of relationships and sort of a loss of identity. I would say beginning with the political world of 2016, our country is sort of being torn apart.
A lot of the reason for that is, one, again, the exposure to information, but then as human beings, we form opinions about that information. The more information, the more opinions. And even if we feel like we're aligned in our opinions of what's going on, we all have very different individual perspectives that are each different. And the larger the difference, the larger the conflict.
We are scared to talk about some of these subjects because they are divisive and we don't want to say the wrong thing.
Absolutely. And fear is important, and fear is relevant, and fear is what we should be feeling. These are very overwhelming events. We have to talk about how to talk about really difficult things. And part of that is to understand that if you get a response from someone that you weren't expecting or that's really overwhelming or misunderstands what it is that you're trying to say, doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep talking. It means that what's important to remember is the person's emotional response to you is an emotional response to everything going on in the world, not just the conversation that they're having with you. So you don't necessarily need to take it personally, and protecting yourself with boundaries and barriers during any conversation about all of this is key.
Of events out there.
One of the things I mainly talk about with my clients is to know their own truth and or trauma. So depending upon the age of the child, you want to sort of pay attention to how many details are you providing. I would say between 10 years old to teenagers, they can probably take a little bit more information, keeping in mind that they are gaining information outside of talking to you. So acting as though nothing's going on or really, really minimizing it and thinking you can keep it contained in your family just isn't the case anymore. And
Hi there, I'm Taylor Torgano. Here is your Spectrum News 1 update. A rally was held to demand justice for the Jewish man who died earlier this month after dueling pro-Israel and pro-Palestine rallies. Paul Kessler died after suffering a head injury on November 5th. Sunday, the grassroots movement End Jew Hatred held a rally in Thousand Oaks to bring together the Jewish community and allies. A man is being charged in connection to Kessler's death with 2 felonies, involuntary manslaughter and battery causing serious injury.
Israelis welcomed Secretary of State Antony Blinken to a donation center in Tel Aviv with open arms, sharing their stories of the nearly week-long war with Hamas that's led to the deaths of more than 2,500 people on both sides, including more than 24 Americans.
We were saved by miracle, but there are friends that we love that aren't.
Blinken consoled this 24-year-old who survived the massacre at a music festival Saturday. In speaking with others there, he was thanked repeatedly by Israelis who appreciate the support the U.S. is providing in its fight against Hamas.
The fact that we got American support visibly was so meaningful to people.
Prior to the stop,
to avoid harming civilians.
We're told the Egyptian government has rejected a proposal from the U.S. that would enable Palestinians to flee Gaza. Egypt is, however, working with Israel and the U.S. to establish safe corridors to deliver humanitarian aid to Palestinians. In Washington, Angie Gonzalez, Spectrum News.
Hundreds of emotional USC students gathered at a vigil hosted by Jewish organizations on campus to mourn the lives lost in the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. While most attended to show their support for Israel, some students, like Noor Mira Jiha, stood at the back of the event in solidarity with Palestinians.
I'm a Palestinian Lebanese student at USC, and we're just here to mourn the lives lost by Israeli citizens, but also to remind them that for 75 years there's also been a lot of lives lost by Palestinian citizens.
Noor is one of many students who have voiced their support for Palestinians in the wake of Hamas's recent terrorist attacks. In the past few days, students have participated in pro-Palestinian demonstrations at universities like USC and CSU Long Beach. And though Noor says she supports Palestinians' rights to fight for their freedom, she also says she does not condone killing.
Killing is never justified to me, and I do approve of that killing is never justified for me, for anyone.
Even still, tensions have flared between pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian demonstrators. In Santa Clarita, dueling rallies turned violent in front of City Hall, and back at USC, law enforcement had to keep demonstrators separated, while some Israel supporters shouted at pro-Palestinian demonstrators.
Do you see what people are doing? It's disgusting.
According to a Gallup poll released in March of 2023, months before the latest round of attacks, millennials' views on Israel-Palestine have shifted dramatically over the last decade. In contrast to older Americans who had overwhelmingly positive views of Israel, millennials, the youngest generation polled, were evenly split, with 42% supporting Palestinians and 40% supporting Israelis. But folks like Jaden Penhas-Kashi, a sophomore at UCLA and an Emerson Fellow with the international pro-Israel nonprofit Stand With Us, say his support is stronger than ever. But he also says he's been disappointed with how much pro-Palestinian rhetoric he's been seeing on social media and at his school.
There are people who are represent UCLA and people look up to who are supporting the Hamas, who are supporting the Palestinian liberation movement. And it frankly disgusts me. And I really, really hope that these kinds of things and speaking out about it can help them understand more nuances of the situation and why the things they're saying are not completely true.
Jaden says many young people are being misinformed on social media, and he suggests those who are curious to learn more about the current situation speak to folks like himself who know people in Israel right now being personally impacted by the war.
And when you hear the personal narratives of people like me, people waving this flag, you'll understand better than anything you'll see on social media.
As for Noor, she says Palestinian demonstrators haven't been receiving the support she wishes they did from USC, but she has hope that can change.
Unfortunately, USC has not been the best support for Palestinians just yet, and we believe that there's much more that could be done, but we're willing to work with the university to change that.
We reached out to USC and they sent a statement by USC President Carol Folt condemning the terrorist attacks and saying, "I have seen our Trojan community pull together with grace and humanity in these deeply troubling times. During the dark days ahead, we need the light and compassion of our university community more than ever." With thousands injured or killed on each side, tensions in Israel and Palestine only seem to be increasing. As young folks like Jaden and Noor make their voices heard, those rising tensions will continue showing up right here in Southern California.
Who will likely be facing a ground war, and they have nowhere to go. They are landlocked. So there's a big difference between these terrorists and the people in the Gaza Strip right now.
Yeah, and all while anti-Semitism is running rampant on social media. Even Black Lives Matter Chicago posted this image of a paratrooper saying it stands with Israel. The backlash to BLM Chicago has been swift. But what's at risk once Israel goes into Gaza and looks like the aggressor, not the ones defending themselves?
Well, what's at risk is the same thing that happened after 9/11 with the U.S., where, we overreacted. We drew in Iraq. 315,000 civilians in Iraq were killed as a result of how we reacted to 9/11. And I think that what's at stake here is precisely the complexity that you are introducing into this, Giselle, which is that we should all be agreeing that civilian casualties, especially in the brutal manner.
Hamas were released this week. This comes as the Israeli military ramps up its strikes in Gaza. Thousands have been killed in both Israel and Gaza. Jeremy Lindenfeld shows us how, amongst American Jews, generational differences often mean different perspectives of this war.
In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here.
As the Israel-Hamas war rages on, reactions from American Jews have been loud and diverse. At a recent demonstration in front of Vice President Kamala Harris's house in Brentwood, grandson of Holocaust survivors Asher Kaplan criticized Israel's response to Hamas's terrorist attacks and called for a ceasefire.
The brutality, the violence of the past days have told us, shown us, that occupation, apartheid, acts of genocide against Palestinian civilians will never make Jews safe. Never!
Asher is a volunteer organizer with If Not Now, an American Jewish organization opposed to Israel's occupation of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. He says he's devastated by Hamas's attacks on innocent Jews and Israelis, but says some are now using those events as justification for more unwarranted violence.
Something that's been really troubling and disturbing in the days since Hamas's attack has been the degree to which my Jewish community and voices are seemingly justifying or excusing mass violence on Palestinian civilians.
As a millennial, Asher is part of a cohort of American Jews whose views on Israel differ greatly from those of older generations. According to Pew Research data published in 2021, 2 years before the recent violence, less than half of American Jews aged 18 to 29 felt emotionally attached to Israel, while 2/3 of Jewish adults 65 and older did feel emotionally attached. As the senior executive of the pro-Israel organization Stand With Us, 74-year-old Gary Ratner dedicates much of his time to Israel-related causes. And he says Israel is vital, not just to its citizens, but to Jews across the globe.
And I always felt that Israel was the guarantor of American Jewry. Without an Israel, we would have heightened anti-Semitism, and it would be much more difficult to live in the United States as a Jew.
Pro-Israel rallies and vigils across Los Angeles have attracted Jews of all ages. Gary says there's always been vocal support for Israel, but Hamas's recent attacks inspired more community engagement than ever.
It woke a lot of people up, and I know it from not only my friends, but from the hundreds of calls and inquiries we're getting from all over the world from people. I think it's part of being Jewish. Part of your Jewish identity is supporting Israel and having an affinity for Israel.
But not every Jewish American agrees, and some activists say Israel is taking advantage of its connection to Judaism and weaponizing Jewish grief.
Our people, our Jewish people, carry incredible trauma. And that trauma is blinding our people now. It's blinding our people, and it is drawing out a bloodthirst that has no justification.
Asher says the familial trauma of the Holocaust and the Jewish values he was taught growing up guide his opposition to Israel's actions toward Palestinians. As war continues, he says he'll keep on advocating for equality, justice, and a thriving future for all Palestinians and Israelis for as long as it takes.
Which side are you?
Only on 4. Kathy?
Colleen Eleanor, who asked us not to use her last name, says this was a very traumatic incident for her, and she replays it in her mind every time she closes her eyes.
The first night was beyond difficult to go to sleep. I could just repeatedly imagine, and I can see myself hitting the ground, and it's so terrifying.
Eleanor, a psychology major at Pierce College in Woodland Hills, went to the protest at UCLA Sunday with her family.
We went there to protest, to stand, and to be there for our country, for Israel.
But things turned ugly when her sister dropped her Israeli flag.
I'm going down to get it. It's being kicked and stepped on, and then I'm being kicked and stepped on.
Went down to try to pull her out of their feet, and they pushed her back, and her head slammed the ground. And for a minute, I thought that's it. I lost her.
This incident, one of many that have occurred since the protest started last week, with dozens of tents popping up on the main campus lawn at UCLA. Then, over the next few days, the encampment expanded. Protesters started to become more vocal, pushing and shoving. Eleanor is shaken, but is recovering. And her mother says what happened to her daughter during the protests at UCLA is not going to stop the family from rallying for Israel in a peaceful way.
If you allow the fear, so, the evil will win. And that's not going to happen. We have to stand for our voice proudly.
Eleanor underwent tests at the hospital, including a CT scan. She is now at home, recovering physically and mentally from her ordeal. Live in the newsroom, Kathy Vara, NBC4 News. Back to you.
תמיד
תמיד הוא בא אליי במכונית עם גג פתוח, ביולי-אוגוסט מרימים לי את המצב רוח, והיפה שלי יודע את כל חולשותיי, וזה נמשך עד מתי. תמיד אומרים לי שאני מלכה של דרמה, ויכולה גם להפנט את הדלי למה. כל כך הרבה דגים בים כבר טבעתי עכשיו, אתה תצלול עד אליי. קוראים לי בשכונה מלכת השושנים, כל מה שבא ליד אני הופכת לקוצים. רצה כבר שבועה בשדרות של תל אביב, שלבבות אני שוברת כתחביב. קוראים לי בשכונה מלכת השושנים, כל מה שבא ליד אני הופכת לקוצים. רצה כבר שבועה בשדרות של תל אביב, שלבבות אני שוברת כתחביב. תמיד הוא בא אליי אוסף אותי עם ווד של מלך, אני עושה לו פטוץ' וקוברת לו בדרך. בלי המאמי תקרא לי מהיום אדמואזל, אז רק אל תתבלבל. קוראים לי בשכונה מלכת השושנים, כל מה שבא ליד אני הופכת לקוצים. רצה כבר שבועה בשדרות של תל אביב, שלבבות אני שוברת כתחביב. קוראים לי בשכונה מלכת השושנים, כל מה שבא ליד אני הופכת לקוצים. רצה כבר שבועה בשדרות של תל אביב, שלבבות אני שוברת
ריפי, בסוף תמצאי את עצמך לבד.
אז בואי אגלה לך תמיד אני לבד, כל אחד תמיד לבד. השאלה אם הוא משלים עם זה או לא. כמה טוב לו עם עצמו לבד או לא. אז בואי אגלה לך משהו, תמיד אני לבד. אז בואי אגלה לך משהו, תמיד.
אוויר הרים צלול קיים וריח אורני נישא ברוח ארבעים עם כל פעמונים. מישהו דואג לי שם למעלה בווידלי כמה כוכבים והם נופלים אחד אחד. מים רבים לא יכלו לכבות, מים רבים לא יכלו לכבות את האהבה. ונהרות לא ישטפו.
يشلح يده من حور معي همو علف كمتي أني نفتح לדודי וידיי נטפו מור ואצבעותיי אחותי רעייתי עונתי תמתי אחותי רעייתי עונתי תמתי שראשי נמלה טל נמלה קבוצותיי תסיסי לילה פשטתי את כותנתי החכה. השבעתי אתכם בנות ירושלים, אם תמצאו את דודי ותגידו לו מה תגידו לו שחולת אהב.